Okay, so last time I was on here, I was talking about choice. And this is the idea that religion teaches predominantly, and it's not true. I'll show you what they teach. Okay, so God made Adam and Eve, put them in the garden, and gave them a choice to eat the fruit or not. And so, I think that involves choice. Oh, got sweat in my eye. Oh, man. It's pretty hot out here today. Pretty warm, actually. Whew. Okay. We wear up box. Ooh, that's heavy duty. Bought some paper towels, too. Maybe I'll take them out and use them. Anyway, so that's what they're... So God gave them a choice to eat the fruit or to not eat the fruit. And that's how mankind fell. Not true. That's not true. If you look at the story itself, God didn't say, hey guys, I put a tree here that can kill you. So I'll leave it up to you to eat it or not eat it. You know, anybody that loves life, you don't hand them a gun and say, hey, I'm going to give you a choice to either kill yourself or not. That's stupid. Anybody that loves life is not going to do that. Anybody who has anything going for them is not going to do that. So anyway, that's what they said, choice. And that's not the case. Okay? And so, here, again, I shared this and it's true, but to have a choice, honestly, you have to have the full information of what you're choosing from. If you don't have the full information of what you're choosing from, you will not choose wisely, period. And so, that's what's involved in choice. Information. But prior to information is investigation. So you must look into, by investigating, what it is that you're choosing from. Now here's the thing. How messed up is that when God told Adam and Eve, if you eat of the fruit, don't do it. And the word death had no bearing at that time for them. They had no idea what that was. So it was one-sided if you take the idea that he left it up to them to choose it or not. He did not do that, okay? Now here's the thing, folks. This is what has crept into the idea of religion big time. Churches, you name it, they promote this. So they tell you they want you to choose Jesus, which is not possible either. I mean, Jesus clearly states that in John 16 when he says, you have not chosen me, period, but I have chosen you. Big difference, see? Way big difference. Way big difference in what goes on. Now, let me deal with this again. And I've shared this before, and if you listened before, I appreciate it. Again, I appreciate all comments, whatever they might be. You want to get something off your chest and you want to call me names, by all means, I'll be your punching bag. Why not? It's just it's just typings on the screen, right? And it's kind of funny because I had people kind of yell at me sometimes and call me names. And of course, people ask me, aren't you offended by that? And I tell them, well, I'll tell you what, if they really knew me, they'd call me worse. Anyway, so you did not have a choice to be born in the flesh, period. What makes us think we have a choice to be born in the spirit? Now, again, this is going to go against every teaching there is because everybody lines up with it. See, somehow, and I don't get how it is. Hey, what's the restricted place nearby? Restricted? I don't even know. Some kind of building. Maybe it's a top secret place. I don't know what it is. To tell you the truth, I don't. It is pretty restricted though when you got a gate and then the little gate in front of it. That must be, they don't want nobody in there, right? Anyway. Oh, greetings from Iran. Hi, Iran. How you doing? Anyway, so here, let me give it to you. See? And it's going to sound controversial. It's going to sound mean. But if you go and you just take it as it is, it's pretty credible. Okay. One of the most grossest things I've ever seen, and yet beautiful at the exact same time, is the birth of my children. Come on, that's the truth. I mean, you literally got a human coming out of another human. That's pretty heavy duty, man. But yet it's so wild because as the baby is coming out of the womb, and it's pretty fast once they get out, they're out. The process of getting them out, of course, labor they call it, takes a minute, but once they're out, they're out. But during that time of them coming out, it's pretty intense. It's pretty, and you know, it's funny because at that time, you don't think anything derogatory because that lady, the mother who's putting the baby out, is, you know, she's showing her vagina. She's showing her privates, if you will. But you don't think of it that way. If you had children, if you didn't have children, that's cool. That's everybody's what they want to do. I had 8. Anyway, going back to 4 boys, 4 girls, evened out. Anyway, here it's crazy because again, I'm going back to this. That no, and I'm gonna give you something. A lot of you might not know. I know Apple, the computer company, supposed to represent the forbidden fruit, but it was not an apple in the Garden of Eden. The fruit that they partook of was actually a fig. That's exactly what it was. It wasn't an apple, it was a fig. Now, you might ask me, how do I know that? Well, watch this. It says it right in there. After they knew they were naked, what did they cover themselves with? Fig leaves. Hello? Now, if you're naked, you're not going to run, to another tree. You're going to take whatever tree is closest to you. There you go. Another representation that it was a fig tree, or it was a fig that they ate, is when Jesus was coming out of the city and he went up to that fig tree and he cursed it. Now, when he cursed it, the fig tree, excuse me, it wasn't even the time for figs. So that didn't make sense. But you see, it was a representation of that tree that was in the garden, and it dried up and withered away. So he got rid of it. Hello. Anyway, going back to this now. It's phenomenal because, again, we don't have a choice in being born. Now, I'm going to share this with you. It's going to sound mean. It's going to sound cruel, but it's the truth. So one time I said, hey, God, what's up with the races? Because, and it's funny because it isn't just the races. It isn't just the gender. Think about it this way. How many times do you fight with yourself in a day? How many times do you get mad at yourself in a day? If you really think about it, get a little upset with yourself, get mad at yourself, yet you don't beat yourself up, literally, And so when you think about it, if we can get into a fight with ourselves and, be mad at ourselves, how much more easy is it to be mad at someone else? So it isn't race. It really isn't gender. Those are there. Don't get me wrong. I ain't going to put that down. Those are in fact there. There's no question about that. But it's got nothing to do with that. So I'm going to give it to you. Watch this. I said, God, what's up with the races? Watch this. Here's the response. There's no races on the planet. Just a bunch of rotting corpses. I was like, wait a minute. People ain't going to like that answer. But if you look at it, we're rotting. What do I mean by that? Let's stay around for 100 years. Stick around for 100 years. You're going to wilt up. You're going to wrinkle up. Your bones are going to creak. Don't get me wrong. Enjoy the youth you have now. There's no question. Enjoy it. Like I am, I'm enjoying my youth. I'm walking down the street carrying groceries, happily going home. But the thing is that you go by a cemetery, that's people. And of course they put the chemicals in them and they don't rot up. They don't, that kind of stuff. But that's what it is, literally. That's our end result. Basically, that's our end result. All of us. We are all going to rot. Okay, going back to this now. Oh, look at that electric bike. Cool. I should get me one of those. They're like $800 though, I think. Unless I get a used one, maybe. Oh, look, and then motorcycles. I guess they're doing a motorcycle class. Pretty cool. Anyway, so it's really hot out here and I'm sweating like crazy. I actually feel like Napoleon Dynamite when he got done dancing or practicing dancing. Anyway, okay, so going back to this now. These fell. The wind knocked them down. Good thing nobody was standing here because they could have sued like crazy. Anyway, so going back to the garden. You see, and this is going to be controversial. This is going to be against what all religions believe. But God intended for man to die in the garden. Crazy, right? It's true. It is so true. That was his intention. For man to eat the fruit and to die. But you see, if you really look at it, we really didn't die like we like to think of death. But yet again, let me say it like this. It's not good to head to the cemetery, not on your own, but you know what I mean. It's worse living in that state while still being alive. You see? Because it seems like we're waiting for something big to happen. And I'm not talking about the earth. I'm not talking about Armageddon or Judgment Day and all that stuff. I'm talking about within our own lives. What are we waiting for? Now, don't get me wrong. It's good to wait. Yeah, there's no question about that. Patience is amazing. The thing is, like a paycheck. We wait for a paycheck. We wait for a promotion. We wait for, I see all these people on the the Instagrams, the TikToks, whatever it is. All those things. I'm not on there. I'm on Instagram, but I'm not on TikTok. Yet, I guess. I am on Twitter. And, of course, Facebook and YouTube. So I got a few that I go around sometimes. And everything looks the same, honestly. I try to see information that's interesting or something but everybody's trying to get that millionth subscriber so they can be famous. And why? Anyway, it's crazy. Anyway, going back to this now. So, choice. No. So why would God intend for man to die in the garden? Well, you have to go back before mankind. Okay, now granted, there's a few ideas out there how everything came to be. One is you've got the Big Bang Theory, okay, because people got into, I'm just changing my hands here, so the camera looks a little funny, I apologize, but you got the Big Bang Theory that everything started from a bang. Well, where did they get that idea from? Well, from the womb, right? Because when the cell, the sperm enters the cell goes into 2, and then into 4. And it keeps doubling and doubling and doubling till a human is formed. Okay, good. And you might question, well, how is that a human? You might ask yourself that. Well, I'm going to tell you why those exploding cells are human. Because their mother is human. See, if you take that argument that a cell is in a human, then you might as well say that we're made up of molecules. So because we're molecules, we really don't matter. Come on. Think about that. But that's the kind of arguments we provide to humankind, which is so crazy. Anyway, going back to this. So I'm going to tell you why God wanted man to fall in the garden. This is all scripture too. It's not my own. Okay. And again, I've shared this before. Now, if you got a better promise than what Jesus promises, I'll follow whoever you're following. Okay, I mean that. If you can bring a better promise than what Jesus did, I will follow your guy or girl or whatever, if you can do that. Now remember, when I shared this before, and that's a challenge to anybody out there, I don't care who it is, but Jesus said this: whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Well, hello, that's kind of heavy duty. Whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Then he asked her, believest thou this? And so here, what happens is, and again, think about this, folks. See, I'm going to tell you why we want to become famous. We want to become famous. That means we're insignificant until we get fame. Hello. That's true. Now, you got all these people wandering around talking about, I got rights. Well, if somebody has to grant them to you through law, through voting, through movements, then you really don't have rights. Because without them granting it to you, you've got nothing. Think about that. Hello. Anyway, going back to this now. I get a little crazy sometimes, and I do apologize for that. But here we go. This is the edge of town. If anybody's still watching, this is the edge of town right there. Watch, I'll show you. So this is Yakima. That's the crates there. This is Washington fruit. But literally, where I'm going to turn right now is the edge of town. Look at those nice houses on the hill. See that? Houses on the hill. Anyway. So, before man was made, according to scripture now, according to scripture, there was God and the angels. Okay? Now people try to dissect and say what kind of angels, who's an archangel. I don't get into that. I mean, we can, but it's just like running a hamster wheel. You'll get exercise, but you're not going to get anywhere. Anyway, so here, God and the angels. And according to scripture, one of the angels, and I know we like to think, turned against God, but not really. In all actuality, he turned against himself. And that's the truth. And I'll show you right now. So here, and there's a lot of stories on it. I mean, you have that comic book Spawn, which generally says that these souls that are going to fight against God, the devil's gathering them together. So there'll be a big war, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not true either. You know, I remember Satanist come to me, tried cursing me, tried doing this, all kinds of stuff, you know. And I was like, bro, my life's jacked up. You ain't got to curse me. I'm already there. Anyway, so he literally said this to me, you know. Our God is stronger than your God. And I'm like, really? Yes. I mean, he was using the crazy voice and everything. And I said, okay. I said, hey, your God is the God of darkness, right? Yes. I said, okay, cool. I said, so your God is more powerful than my God? Yes. Cool. I said, answer me this. Why is it when I go in a dark room and I turn on the light, the darkness goes away immediately? There's no fight. There's no struggle. There's no pushing back and forth. The darkness goes away immediately. Now, if you want to get symbolic, folks, I'll tell you something. Darkness represents not knowing. Light represents knowing. Remember the word enlightened? Okay. So, they say, here's this bridge I was telling you about. Temple of Healing, they say, but this is where the train comes over. And I walk here at night, dude, and there's no light except my fog light. Well, we're under here now. I'm going to take a look. This is where the train comes over. And it works, I guess, because the cars are longer than this. So the weight is distributed where this doesn't take too much weight, I guess. That's what it's. So here we go. And so, when you know something, you're enlightened. Or knowing, rather. Okay, so, the guy couldn't answer. And his voice changed too. He said, wow, I never thought of it that way. Well, that's the problem. And I totally understand, folks. I totally understand when people get upset, when people get hurt, and the reactions they give as a result of it. Totally understandable. You know, totally. I remember being bullied in school. And honestly, my reaction was to hurt some of them kids. You know? Now, granted, I didn't have a great home life, but this added to it. And I remember, I won't share too much of what occurred, but I literally wanted to hurt those guys that would come at me, you know, because I was poor. So I had to wear clothes pretty much a lot, you know, like 5 days in a row sometimes. My dad didn't give a darn. So sometimes my clothes weren't clean. So I was made fun of for being smelly. The clothes anyway. I was made fun of for wearing the same clothes again and again. You know? And it was from kids who could afford clean clothes, who could afford washing their clothes. I literally wanted to hurt these guys. Never thought of killing them, but if pushed, okay? Anyway, so I totally get when people get upset, when people have had enough. That's all understandable, big time. Okay, going back to this. So, God is in heaven with the angels, and Lucifer, here's what his statement was. The last thing he said was this: I will be like the Most High. That's what he said. Now, it wasn't to get over on God, because you can't. God is God. God is everything, He is. And here, I remember, he couldn't get above him. So being like him was enough for him to be, and of course, the minute he thinks these things, he becomes dark, or does these things, he immediately becomes darkness. Well, darkness and light can't mix together, period. And so, because he couldn't mix, he was gone. He was out of there. Immediately, he was out of there. Bye-bye. And again, it wasn't now here's the thing, folks. I'll share this with you. It wasn't he tricked a third of the angels, because that's what people like to think. People like to go that route and say, oh yeah, he tricked a third of the angels. A third of the angels went with him. No. Okay. Y'all know what quarantine is, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure you do. I'm pretty sure you all know what quarantine is. When there's a virus, and people get sick, they separate them. Now, here's the thing, folks. When it talks about drawing away the third, what that means is that God is the one that stopped it at the third. Otherwise, it would have took all of them. That's what that means. Okay? That's exactly what that means. I want to do this real quick because got some guys coming. I don't want to think I'm filming them. But yeah, he actually stopped it at the third. Otherwise, again, you think about it. Third. But if you go to first, it'll get all the way down. If it got the first, which was Lucifer, it would have got the rest. And so, God is the one who stopped it at the third. Now, here's the crazy thing. God did not know what happened. I know people like to say, well, he knows everything. Well, this he didn't, because this has never happened before. It'd be like a child turning against their parents. No one understands that. If people love children, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people do, and their own especially, if that's the case, then when they're neglected, the children, people can't understand that. It's like, why would you do that to your own kid? Or vice versa. If the children turn against the parents, people get shocked about that. Why did they destroy the parents? Or why did they, so that's what happened with God and Lucifer. And I'm going to dispel another one too for you. Satan's not after your soul. I think I've said that before, but I'll say it again. He's not. He's not after your soul. He's not trying to take you to hell. Period. Well, I'm coming up to my area, so I gotta sign off for a second, but I'll turn it back on later. I'm back to the casita. So, you guys have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.